A more favorable pattern for winter weather is setting up for the foreseeable future, and this does include areas of the south also. So here to give you all the latest information that we have from this afternoon into this evening. We'll show you all these individual model runs. We'll show you some snowfall graphics, but just remember, this is not a forecast, and we're going to speak over two separate time frames and then extend it past these time frames a little bit deeper into January. Now, this first time frame here over the next couple of days, we're starting to really figure that one out. We're not going to get any kind of significant changes, I don't think, with this, but we certainly could. Anything can happen, right? But it's really the weekend onward that I am really interested with. But we're going to discuss it all, cover it all. After that, we'll geek out with you guys a little bit. Just discuss the pattern as a whole, the energy associated with it, and we'll talk about the longer range also. My name is Mitch. Good Monday evening. I hope you guys are doing well. Subscribe if you haven't. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything I can pray about or pray over, please drop it in the comments below. Let's get rocking and rolling tonight. So let's start it off with the Euro. And this is the 12Z run. I want to look at the 18Z run too, which is the current Euro run, but it hasn't finished loading yet. So I'm going to show this first, go over a couple more model runs, and then I'll show you that 18Z Euro and see if it's any different from the 12Z Euro, which is what I'm going to show you here. We're going to start off all model guidance with Wednesday afternoon. So the next 48 hours or so, January the 14th. Timestamp's up here. Timestamp is over here. And on this, you can see there's a lot of energy. The blue is snow. The green is rain. If you see any, pink or orange show up on your map, that's kind of a wintry mix. So a lot of energy around. We got a lot of rain and even a rain-snow mix beginning to enter the mid-south. The Cumberland Plateau starting to mix with some snow, and it's beginning to snow in the higher elevations of North Carolina and Tennessee. We got a low pressure popping off the coast of the southeast. We don't have any cold air in place yet, so it doesn't really matter. But there's a lot of energy off the coastline and associated with the immediate trough digging down. So we're going to keep this in motion. We start to move into overnight, Wednesday night into Thursday morning. And heavy snow begins to fall all across the Appalachian Mountains just about. We got some rain and snow up here in the northeast, more so rain the closer you get to the I-95 corridor, and you can see that low popping off well off the coastline. And then cold air begins to move in. Is there any energy connection? There is not. The Euro says no, it's not going to happen, and I'll just go on and tell you right at the dot, the 18Z says it's not going to happen either. But hold tight. A couple other model runs is continuing to tease the idea that it's just not going to give up on this first time frame, which is really Wednesday into Thursday and the portions of early Friday morning. So this is Thursday morning, not a whole lot going on, and you don't see a whole lot going on, but aloft in the upper levels of the atmosphere, there's a lot of energy around. It's just not connecting, and we'll talk about that more when we geek out with you for the second half of the video. But we move past this. We start to get into Friday morning. All right, we're just getting a lot of northern stream energy. I've been hearing the most common thing I've heard over the last 24 hours is cold and dry, Mitch, cold and dry. I hear you loud and clear. But there's so much more to looking at these model runs and just looking at whether you see green or blue or something in between. And I'll dive into that here in a second. Friday morning, a lot of northern stream energy diving down with the reinforcing trough. The blue is snow, and this will probably end up being in the form of light snow and some areas of moderate snow. All right, so you don't see it here, but this is Friday evening. I think we could easily have flurries or either light rain down here across the mid-south. I mean, there's just going to be a lot of light to moderate snow action, associated with the immediate secondary trough digging down across the Great Lakes region, the Midwest Ohio Valley. And we continue to move forward here, and we start to get into Saturday morning. And check this out. We got snow beginning to develop, light snow, I would say, and across northern Georgia, even the extreme upstate of South Carolina, the Piedmont, North Carolina, even some flurries here in the Carolinas. And we continue to move this forward, and the system does try to develop here. Okay, some light rain, light snow mix dancing around across the upper mid-south, the mid-Atlantic. This is getting into Saturday the 17th. And I'm telling you, we're about to get just really wintry across, basically for the foreseeable future up here. Okay, even though we're not going to get an all-out winter storm, I don't think, just rounds on and off for days on end of light to moderate snow. Okay, so we move forward and we get into Saturday evening. There's a lot of energy diving down, but the dots are not connecting on this specific model run. Don't get overly bummed out. I'm going to say that a couple more times because all these model runs I'm going to show you, there's not going to be a whole lot of flashes with them. Now, there's a couple of them that do show it, but I just want to get that out of the way right now. That's why you got to keep tuning in. You can't make grand conclusions emotionally off these model runs. I go over all of them. We kind of compare what's changed and what's not. But we continue to move forward. We get into Sunday morning, and there is some snow up here in New England, and then we get past that time frame. And I think we need to watch MLK Day too. Got some moisture trying to creep up across the western deep south, and there's still a lot of cold air around, but there's no dots that connect. And we'll stop it here for next Wednesday, the 21st, and then we'll go beyond this later in the video. What about the GFS? What is it showing? Okay, GFS is just not a good model run, but I still like to show it because you never know when it's going to be right. So I'll leave it at that. Wednesday afternoon, it looks exactly the same as zero. We got an area of moisture associated with the trough diving down. And even though this shows mainly green, there could be some snow mixing in with some of this. I mean, I could see that definitely happening. But we start to move into Wednesday night, and heavy snow begins to fall in the Smokies and just the southern Appalachian Mountains of North Carolina, Tennessee, maybe as far south. In fact, it will be as far south as northern Georgia. And then you see the moisture developing across the deep south. I mean, is it going to encounter any cold air? Well, on this run of the GFS Thursday morning, it has some snow as far south as maybe the PD of South Carolina, but it does develop a secondary low here and throw some moisture back in the cold air. And now, you know, we got some snow over eastern North Carolina. If you look at the 4-run trend of this, because, I mean, it is interesting. Okay, let's get this in motion. Check out how this area of energy has separated itself from this area of energy. This is kind of trending a little bit further north. This has kind of trended into its own thing. This is kind of the upper low. This is kind of a short wave associated with the trough. So there's kind of a lagging behind of this short wave. I don't think it's right. But listen, I'm telling you right now, especially when we get into some of these mesoscale models, and we already are starting to get into them somewhat, I think we're going to have a day Thursday, even into Friday. I'm sorry, Thursday mainly, where we're going to have rounds of rain and snow across areas of North Carolina points north. And then we just got to watch the mid-Atlantic. I mean, I think we're just going to have rounds of snow out and about. I mean, we got some heavier snow in New England. And then look at it popping off some heavier snow in eastern areas of North Carolina and the Hampton Roads area of Virginia. And then it moves off. What about the secondary time frame? We get into Friday, not a whole lot of anything. We're getting into Saturday, and it delivers a little bit of snow across the North Carolina-Virginia line. Not much of anything, not a whole lot. A little bit of snow in the mountains here. And we continue to move forward. And then, you know, we get into, say, Saturday night into Sunday, and then we got a lot more energy starting to dive in. So once again, you know, the northwest flow snow starts to get going again across, you know, the Cumberland Plateau and the mountains of North Carolina and Virginia and to West Virginia again. And I say it like that because, I mean, I'm going to keep it real. I'm sick of talking about northwest flow snow. It seems like that's the only way we can get snow for areas of the South. You know, this winter so far. We need to switch it up and get a Gulf low and get a big one. But it does show. So if you're, you know, making that trip to the mountains, I think it's going to snow this weekend outside of what's going to happen over the next few days. I just don't know if we're going to get any kind of big snow. But it's definitely going to be some flakes flying around. But we continue and check it out. Sunday morning, it's trying to, there is something here. It's just not showing that eye-popping snowstorm. And I'm going to show you here in a second when we go over energy. But I mean, it's got that rain-snow mix. There's a lot of energy here. The dots just aren't connecting. That's not saying that the dots won't connect. But anyways, we start moving to Monday. We get into next Tuesday. Here comes the system trying to scream in. Another shot of cold air associated with it. Doesn't really do a whole lot, and we'll stop it here, and this is for Wednesday. Now, what about the Canadian model? Shows sort of something totally different. Same thing, Wednesday, it's a miss with the first system. We're just going to scoot past this. It does show some secondary moisture developing here, but I mean, there's enough cold air aloft to work with, but there's not a lot of cold air at the surface. So even though you see the green here, you're thinking, well, is there enough cold air in place? Well, at the surface, there's not, so it's just a light, cold rain. All right, so we continue to move forward here, and we get into Friday morning. Is there anything else coming in? Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of snow just drifting around across areas where it always snows. And then we start to get into Saturday morning. And there it is, some snow coming all the way down to Tennessee. Heck, even as far west as Missouri. A little bit of winter weather in northwest South Carolina, northern Georgia. And check it out, it tries to develop some moisture here. Not a lot of cold air worked in place east of the mountains yet. But we do got some light to moderate snow across the Mid-South. I mean, as far south as Middle Tennessee, Piedmont, North Carolina, getting some snow on this. And then it tries to pop off a low pressure, so another trough diving down. And there's so much going on here. And then Sunday, here comes another round of snow. And it starts to snow across areas as far south as northern northern Alabama on this, northern Georgia. And then eastern Tennessee, there's some snow flying around, starting to move into western North Carolina. And then we move past this, pops off a low. There's some snow in the northeast. And then we start to move into Tuesday morning. And then we start to move into Wednesday morning. And we'll stop it right there. Now, I do want to show you the Icon. The Icon's not the best model in the world, just like the GFS and the Canadian model really isn't. And same thing, first system is a miss. Okay, it does show a touch of blue right here in eastern North Carolina, though, as we're getting into Thursday morning. And then we get into Friday, and we can only go 120 hours out. But this is Friday night, and we got some snow trying to move into southwest North Carolina. And there's just a lot of energy around. This is Saturday morning. Check it out. I mean, there's an area of rain and snow here in Virginia and North Carolina. Okay, and we go all the way to the end of the run, and there's more areas of energy coming down. Listen, there's so much energy that's going to be in this pattern, but we have to connect it correctly. We have to dig it correctly, phase it, consolidate it right, or it's just going to be a lot of northwest flow snow, some flurries here and there, just stuff that we don't want to happen as winter weather fans. We want something more significant, right? Now, the UK Met throws us a bone here. It did it last night too, and it did it again today. And it's only going to show precipitation here, but you see the green, that's moisture, and there's cold air associated with it. And as we move forward, this is Sunday morning, and then this is Sunday afternoon. The UK Met does connect the dots, and on the northern fringe of this precipitation, that is snow. You look at the temperatures here. Yeah, now it's a very odd looking temperature profile. That makes me already think this is kind of wacky here. I mean, it just looks odd. But I mean, it's 32, 33, 32, 32, just low 30s across areas of South Carolina to the Piedmont, North Carolina, and that is snow falling. It's a heavy, wet snow, but it's snow. And you continue to move forward, and it turns into a nice snowstorm up in the North Carolina areas of Southeast Virginia. And I'll show you what the snowfall map looks like with that here in a second. Now, this is the latest 18Z Euro. I don't know how far out we got, but the first system is a miss. It has made the snow a little bit heavier in the mountains of North Carolina, Tennessee, up into West Virginia, and even eastern Kentucky. Okay, what does it do after that? All right, what is it going to show? Come on, throw us something here. I don't know if we have the entirety of the run. We're starting to get to Friday morning. There's some snow across the Great Lakes region, yada, yada, yada. I mean, that always happens. And then here we go, and here it is. It's developing some moisture. Not a lot of cold air work in place across the southeast yet, but you got some snow drifting around across, Kentucky, some flurries down to Tennessee. This is Friday night and a Saturday. What you going to do? You going to do something cool? Not really. So, we get into Saturday morning. There's cold air working in. There's enough in place across areas of North Carolina. If you look closely, deliver a rain-snow mix. What's going to happen after this? Look at that snow trying to break out across eastern North Carolina. Nothing huge, nothing substantial, and behind it, you just get some good old backside northwest flow snow. I mean, it's just a very boring, it's almost getting annoying saying that now because we just want something different. Now, it only goes out 144 hours out. And this is what I mean by a lot of energy in the pattern. You see this little area in blue here? I mean, when mesoscale models come in, this is just going to be flurries. But, at the very end of the run here, we still got energy trying to dive in, but it's for the most part a whiff on the Euro with the weekend. But I continue to think we need to watch in the MLK Day, Tuesday also. Let's look at a broad look at this and what it looks like. And you can tell there's still a lot of cold air diving down, but the axis of the digging energy, guys, and we're going to talk more on this here in a second, really needs to be down into here. I mean, we really need something to come down the stovepipe of really like Idaho and dive down into here, dig. We need this stuff to stop coming down here. It just ain't going to work. It's not going to work. We got to cut that crap out. And I'm going to tell you why it keeps doing that here in a second. But this is the latest Euro run through this is about Wednesday morning. And it looks like light snow amounts across, North Carolina, upper sections of South Carolina. And, we're going to get some heavy snow across the mountains of the Southern Alps points north. West Virginia's going to get there, show some light snowfall accumulations across Kentucky, down to the Cumberland Plateau. Now we take a look at, say, the 18Z, and remember this only goes out, about till about Sunday midday, and it shows a touch of snow in North Carolina. But for the most part, it really isn't changed. In fact, I would say that the 12Z Euro looked a little bit better. But just remember what the overnight last night Euro showed. It showed that, and it could easily go back to that. Easily, guys, I'm telling you. But the Euro Ensemble, between now and midway next work week, you see how the dominant signal for snow is kind of right into here? Right into there. And then you kind of got these weird little scattered amounts right into here. A few tenths of an inch of snow here, inch of snow there. That is some of the members picking up on a scenario where we can get a little bit of snow, maybe some moisture, encountering some cold air into the weekend somewhere. Kind of like what the Euro run did last night. Okay? Now we look at the GFS operational run, and hey, do you see this stuff right here? This is from the first storm system. It wants to deliver an inch or two of wet snow in eastern North Carolina, southeast Virginia. Now, I'm going to say it again. I'm not going to speak in absolutes. I'm not going to sit here and say that that's not impossible to not happen. Okay? And I'm just not. But everywhere else, just snow in the mountains. And I know you're probably thinking, Mitch, you keep honking the horn at snow in the south. But I'm telling you, I just think we're going to get snow flying around across the south. I just don't know if we're going to get any kind of substantial winter storm. Now, you do look, and we can extend this a little bit further out, you do look at the GEFS, okay, and it did improve the first time frame. You can see this little slither of snow right in here. This is that first time frame. And then the mountains are going to get theirs, the Cumberland Plateau, and then just like the GFS, just like what the Euro Ensemble showed, it kind of throws a bone to areas deeper across the south. Okay, shows some members there later into the weekend. And then, of course, you look at the UK Met, which, is what everybody wants. They're winter weather fans. And, I mean, even if you're not a fan of snow, man, come on. You got to root for snow lovers, right? But you can see the Northern Stream Energy up here, and the UK Met just delivers a nice snowstorm across areas of the deep to mid-south, even dumps 2 inches of snow at my neck of the woods, 5 to 6 inches of snow in Charlotte, and delivers some snow over into eastern areas of North Carolina and Virginia too. And I can hear you guys screaming at me. I'll show it to you also just to make you happy, even though it doesn't mean a lick because I don't have any confidence this is going to happen. But it does deliver some snow over here further east too. So, kind of nerding out with you guys. And listen, before we dive into this, don't get discouraged off what you just saw. I mean, we were singing the same tune yesterday. There really wasn't a whole lot of flashy runs I could show you. Nothing. And listen, this pattern is probably going to be more dry than moist. I mean, it just probably is. But that doesn't mean that something sneaky can't show up. And I really think it's possible. But I'm very, very intrigued on what can happen as we just continue to move forward throughout January. And we're going to speak on that here in a second. So, moving forward here, I'm going to make sure I got my panels right. Moving forward, when we're trying to talk about energy, I keep saying that, the dots connecting, right? So these are the dots that I'm talking about. Let's make sure we got our colors right. These are the dots I'm talking about, areas of energy in the atmosphere. So, for example, this is time frame number 1, all right? So this is Wednesday afternoon. We got this piece of energy diving in. We got this short wave associated with it diving in too. I want to say right off the dot, for this to become a bigger storm system, you need this and this to connect right into here. And then dive in, that pops off a pretty strong low pressure. But you're going to see as I put this in motion, that's not going to happen. So we continue to move forward, and that northern Vort area of energy stays out ahead and just away from this energy here. So as we're moving forward, they try to connect at the last second, but really they're just two separate areas of energy. And in fact, the fact that this has separated so much from this initial energy out ahead, it's actually become a thing where it's been so much of a bad thing that now it's a good thing, because this area of energy, this kind of short wave, has been left behind so much that it's able to just kind of become its own thing, and now it's trying to pop off a low. And that's why the GFS is showing a little snow in eastern North Carolina with First time frame. Now the second time frame is just a whole lot of energy, right? A lot of strung out energy, and this is just a Euro run. We got just this weird kind of vortice here. So this energy right here is just going to deliver a lot of rounds of light to moderate snow across, I mean, probably the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, all the way down to the Mid-South. And then a larger piece of energy tries to dive in here. Okay, this is getting into Saturday afternoon. It's positively tilted, and it's already just too positively tilted too far to the east. If this thing's going to be this positively tilted, it needs to be way over here and already be making its way to a neutral tilt and then to a negative tilt, which would make it tilt like that. It's not happening. Not on this run. So we move forward. It finally gets its act together here to deliver like a little bit of moisture across areas of the southeast. And then there's other pieces of energy behind it, though. And keep in mind, each area of energy, each trough that drops down with the energy associated with it, it brings a shot of cold air from the Arctic region. And there's just a lot more energy behind this also. And, you know, listen, it's a great pattern. Okay, it really is. But the problem that we're having, and I haven't really dove into this much, is, I mean, here, look at this nice, impressive trough. And remember, we were breaking down this pattern a couple weeks ago for this time frame, and it's coming together. Okay, you got this ridge. That's not the color we want. We got this ridge spiking across areas of the Pacific and then the western U.S. In response, we have this trough with energy associated with it. Okay, the problem is you got this ridge spiking up, right? But you got this weird little kind of nudge in the ridge like this extending to the northeast. So that's making the energy kind of dive into this trough a little. It's making it dive into the lower 48 further to the east. So these little areas of energy are kind of coming down like this or like this when they need to be coming down like way over here or like into here where they have they have a better avenue to dig. They can kind of come down south more aggressively, further out to the west, therefore dig and then get that negative tilt and then pop off a low pressure. And I mean, of course, we would love some Gulf moisture down here, some southern stream action, you know, just that southern stream to be picked up so some energy can kind of dive in, scoop up some energy down here. But I mean, even if we don't have that, if we can get the energy to dive in from the northern stream properly, then, you know, it could dig in a trough and we can do something. But, you know, you continue to move forward and, I mean, you can really see it here. Like you back it up a couple frames. This is Wednesday afternoon. You got this stupid nudge in the ridge right there. And that is just making this energy just kind of come down like, just like lollygagging like down here. It tries to come back down and dig, but it's just, it needs to dig like down here in Idaho and western Montana and then drop down to the lower 48. But, you know, you keep going here and then here comes another area of energy and it's trying to dive down right here a little bit further to the west. But in my opinion, it's just not far enough west. It's diving down kind of across the Dakotas, Minnesota. You needed a couple more states to the west and it kind of dives down. We got this excellent looking trough expanding across the entire eastern U.S. All right, and it's a better look. Okay, the trough is more bowled out to the west here. When you compare it to the trough that's digging down with the first time frame, it's further to the east. It's mainly a cold, dry look. If you look at the secondary trough, it's better looking. It's more broadened and it's further to the west, but it's still not wanting to get the job done. I'm not speaking in like a conclusion, like we know we're cooked, right? What all the young kids say. But we need to position this ridge correctly. We need to position this trough and response correctly. But, you know, we take it all the way into next week, and we got this intense-looking trough still setting up with a lot of cold air diving down out of the higher latitudes. And it's just, are we going to get any energy that connects? And that's when we kind of start here, right, where we leave off. And, I mean, we start off MLK Day next week, a week from today, and we got an impressive-looking deep trough over the eastern U.S. with a lot of cold air coming down. And then we progress the power pattern forward. And I think we could potentially get a warm up. I definitely think we're going to get it across the southern tier of the country, especially the southern plains. And then you can see the ridge try to spike over the southeast briefly into late next work week. But at the very end of the run, a trough signal shows up again. And it looks like this trough is anchoring to the east once again. So that tells me that winter, we might get a brief warm-up late next week. I just don't think it's going to last long. And if you go to the end of the Euro ensemble, it already shows a signal for the trough showing up. But we need to position this further to the west, or we're going to just get cold and dry. I would agree with the haters, right? And a lot of you guys are just keeping it real. But I think some people are just kind of rooted in negativity. You just say the same thing every time in the comments, and it just kind of gets old. I'll be honest. And maybe it's because I'm getting too emotionally involved into it because I want snow so bad. But sometimes you can just read right through the comments and you can tell they're just being negative. But I'm not going to get off on that. You guys get what I'm saying. But regardless, with each trough that digs down, I said this, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. I said this a couple weeks ago. I said that the second half of January runs the risk for an Arctic outbreak or either shots of a lot of cold. Hopefully people remember me saying that. And sure enough, here it is, January the 12th, pretty much getting into the mid-month time frame, and we're already staring down 3 shots of Arctic air. The first one comes after the first time frame later this week. This is Thursday afternoon. These are highs are anywhere from a few degrees to 15 to 20 degrees below average. We're going to get into the teens in areas of the south for low temperatures. Record breaking, not quite sure. But then, it stays cool. But then here comes our secondary shot of cold air this weekend. And the shot of cold air with this is positioned a little bit further to the west. And then we get a larger shot of cold air next week, potentially. How far south will this get? We still got to figure that one out. So that looks like a pretty deep shot of cold air, especially for the Great Lakes region. And then we might get a warm up, and then it looks like cold air settles right back in for the last 5, 6, 7 days of January. And what's wild to me, guys, is we've consistently trended these models colder. Like, let's go right here, and we'll start off about a week from today. And look how this is the run-to-run change as far as temperature. So when you see blue, that means that it's a colder run in the same time frame compared to the last Euro ensemble run. So it is just a much colder run. So we continue to trend colder. Is there any kind of long-range crazy model runs that we're seeing? Not really. I want to watch, and I've already seen a lot of local meteorologists talk about this time frame, not local, but just in general, like the 23rd through the 26th, something like that, getting past day 7 or day 10. And there's something, it definitely looks like it's going to get much more active. But where's the cold air going to be in place in this time frame? But we get all the way into not this weekend, but next weekend, and it shows a lot of moisture hitting some cold air and a nasty ice storm down into the Carolinas. But that's over 300 hours out, not a forecast. And there's not a whole lot you can take from this, guys. But same thing. We'll start off next Wednesday. Any kind of crazy model run showing on the GFS does show a winter weather event right into here, like late next work week, and then some cold air coming down. There's a big overrunning event, but it's to the north. And then that turns into a big winter storm for the northeast. Anything, after that, here comes another cutter. We don't want to see none of that. That looks like bogus. And there's really nothing else to show after that. So I really think Model Guidance is going to lock into this colder idea. The big reason is because when you look at the MJO progression, right now we're in phase 7 or 6 or so. It's the 12th, which is right here. So it's January the 12th. So we're right in phase 6 or 7 or so. We're probably going to hang out around that area. That's 7, that's 6 for a few more days. And then we're going to get into phase 7. Here, probably by the end of the week, just about, or in the next 10 days. And then we're going to boat race through phase 7 according to this Euro forecast. And most agree with this now. And we're going to get into phase 8, which, guys, for a winter weather fan, phase 8, phase 1, phase 2 are glory phases in winter. And we're about to enter the coldest climo time of the year. We're already entering it, mid to late January. So if we get into phase 8, combined with the most favorable climate time of the year for winter weather and cold, we are going to get something that's coming. So if these 2 time frames don't work out for your backyard, front yard, whatever, your neighborhood, I think we're going to have more opportunities to show up. So I'm not going to guarantee this, but I'm pretty close to guaranteeing it. I think by the time that we get to 1 week from today, I think we will already be staring down another time frame for areas of the South out ahead of us. So just picture us sitting here next Monday evening and trying to figure out what's next. I think we will have another potential winter weather threat on the horizon. Call it kicking the can? Sure, you can. But yeah, so the Euro Weeklies was one of the better runs that we've seen. This extends now all the way out to pretty much the end of February. And you look at the central U.S., says, hey, we're going to have some snowy and wintry times. But it's really the eastern U.S. that has my attention. It has over a 2-inch snowfall down into Columbia. Shows a nice average here. So basically you look at this and you say, okay, winter's not over. Don't look at this and say, okay, I'm going to get 4 inches of snow in Nashville or snow down here into northern Georgia. It's not a forecast, just the weeklies. Look at this and say, hey, winter is not over. But my take is I think we're going to end up getting a nasty ice storm at some point for someone. We've really avoided any kind of nasty ice storms this year for the most part. But anyways, that's all I got. I know there was nothing flashy on that run for this evening, but I continue to be encouraged about what I'm seeing for us winter weather fans. In fact, I feel much better about things than I did about 2 weeks ago. If I'm being completely real with you guys, about 2 weeks ago, I just had a terrible feeling about winter. I thought it was just going to be a dud, and just didn't have the best feeling. It wasn't really anything I was seeing. I just started slipping into that. It's just going to be one of those dumb winters where we don't even get a winter weather advisory here in Central South Carolina. But that's definitely changed. So, but anyways, we'll continue to figure it out. We'll see what the overnight model runs do. Hopefully we'll wake up and have something exciting to look at. But even if we do, just keep in mind that normally when we get a couple exciting runs, it's normally offset by a couple dumb runs, not exciting runs. But what is kind of the direction we are heading? That's kind of the broad way to look at it. So, all right, guys, have a wonderful night. We'll do it again tomorrow morning. God bless.